First things off here, Krystal. The Roadrunner season just got started. You're now in your second year as in-game host for them. I'm sure, as you know, there were discussions before this season of the Roadrunners possibly playing some games in Tempe after the Coyotes moved to Utah, but that's not the case. So, how important is it to you that the Roadrunners are staying in Tucson full time?
My job definitely depends on it. So it's very important as far as me keeping my in-game hosting job. And I think even more so, it's important for the Tucson community. I think we've been burned a little bit here by sports teams, whether you think about some of the baseball teams that we've lost or you think about spring training. So for the Tucson community as a whole, it's super important to keep that team here. They have a huge fan base here. And I think really just overall, everybody's just sort of over being burned by sports teams. So the hope is that they'll stay here. But, it's a business. You never know what's going to happen.
What can you say about the hockey culture in Tucson? And from your perspective, what makes the Roadrunners fan base special?
I think it's loyalty, right? Like you think of Phoenix as a huge metro city. They have so many different sports franchises there that it's kind of spread thin, right? You like Suns, you like the Coyotes when you were there, even though they weren't maybe as big as the Suns or the Cardinals or the D-backs. So for Tucson, it's about loyalty, and I think before the announcement of them leaving happened, the fans were all in, and now they're sort of like hesitant because they're like, are we going to stay all in and then you're going to take them from us? But I think that to me is the standout. If you're a team that comes to Tucson and you show staying power and you show commitment, the fans will back you 100%. But the minute you leave some questions, you're going to see the fans also sort of questioning, well, do I want to buy my season tickets again? Am I going to buy merch again? So I think the fans here just I want to say they're a little there's a little PTSD, right? Like we're afraid to stay on board and we worry that something might happen, but in reality, even going to the games, the ones that I've worked so far, there's still a decent amount of fans showing up.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you that the Tucson fans, I think they have a very deep connection with their sports teams. Whether it's teams like the Roadrunners and Sugar Skulls, or obviously the various U of A athletics. I think definitely the fans down there, very connected to their sports, and like you said, very loyal.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the U of A has always been the big shiny thing here, which so much respect for the University of Arizona and Arizona athletics. They've definitely earned that. But the Tucson community has been yearning for more sports, especially when you take that next step outside of collegiate.
Speaking of U of A, Arizona women's basketball also back in session. The regular season starts on Monday. I gotta ask, what are you looking forward to the most about their new season?
I love Coach Barnes. She's literally one of my favorite humans on the planet because she is genuinely face value what you get. What you see is what you get with Coach Barnes. She's funny, she's very outspoken, she's very focused, she's very driven. So just interactions with Coach Barnes. But I'd be lying if I said I'm not looking forward to the fans. I genuinely love Arizona women's basketball fans. They are gritty, they are loud, they are interactive. It's one of my favorite things about this job is getting to see them and interact with them every single season. There's a new class in town, if you will, with the new players that we have on the team. And with the past two exhibition games, we've gotten to see a little bit of their skill set. And I can't wait. They're young, but they're all very competitive. They're all very gritty, and they've all got this attitude, if you will, of like, we're going to be something. We're going to go far. And, being in the Big 12 this year, we have to sort of prove ourselves coming from the Pac 12. So, genuinely looking forward to seeing what Adia is going to do with this team and seeing how the fans are going to ride along.
You mentioned the Big 12, and I'm sure it's it's obviously it'll be fun for you, and it'll be fun for the fans to see all these different teams coming to play.
Oh yeah, very exciting. Some teams that consistently make it very far in March Madness are now going to be inside McHale or vice versa. We're going to be inside their home arena. So it's an exciting time right now to be a Wildcat fan.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, and those and I tell you, those fans at McHale, they're a different breed. A different breed, I tell you.
They very much are, and that's one thing that I'll tell you I love about it. Like I said, especially women's basketball, they are very vocal. Like at games, the refs make a bad call, we don't have to say anything; they say it all. So it's much appreciated because it adds to the environment. I'm also someone who's a big champion of our pet band, the Pride of Arizona. I genuinely believe they are the best band in college sports, and I should have mentioned them. They're also something that I look forward to being around every single season because they just bring so much energy to every single game. So, yeah, we are definitely a different breed, and we travel well. So
Yes, certainly. I gotta ask, what's it like getting to interact with Wilbur and Wilma?
they are amazing. I call them my besties because I feel like every time I see them after not seeing them during the off season, it's like we hype each other up. I remember I'm big on costumes, so when I have to in-game host for big events or around the holidays, I always like to wear costumes, and Wilma always hypes me up, and I love it because I'm right there for her too. I'm gonna hype her up too. So she's the sassiest cat in college basketball, and she's one of my favorites for sure. Wilbur, obviously, just another level of mascot fandom when it comes to college sports. But yeah, no, they're wonderful.
I always enjoy seeing the mascots, and they're always so much fun. But I go to ASU. I think you should come up here and maybe have some fun with Sparky. I'm just putting it out there, putting out the invitation. We'd love to have you up here in Tempe if you ever want to drop by.
I've traveled up there a couple of times for the women's games when they've been up there, and you're right. Sparky is a personality for sure. And I actually went to the most recent volleyball game at McHale Center where he was there too. So he definitely earned his reputation as that Sun Devil. I'll tell you that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah. We know we are super happy to have him at all of our games. He's always a blast to be around.
I agree.
But when you're the in-game host here for like all these different games, your goal is obviously to entertain the fans and make their experience at the game even more memorable. And just, what does that mean to you to be a part of the fan experience at these games?
It's funny you asked that because I was just talking about it the other day. Doing what I do as the in-game host has nothing to do with me. It never will, right? It doesn't matter, what I'm wearing or how I look. For me, it genuinely is about the fan experience. So when I have that mic in my hand and I walk onto the court, I've got the biggest smile on my face. I'm cheering with the Pride of Arizona. I may not be yelling at the refs like the fans are, but I am definitely feeling that same energy and whether it's anger, excitement. So for me, it's elevating the experience to the next level. So if I can get the kiddos closer to Wilbur and Wilma, I'm going to do that. If we have, groups come in that seats are a little bit higher up, I always go to my bosses and say, can we move them down? Let's give the kids an experience they deserve inside McHale. And so for me, it will forever be the fan experience because if they genuinely enjoy watching a game inside McHale, they're going to keep coming back for more. So it will always be my number one focus. And honestly, the thing that makes it worth it for me, I always love seeing people's reaction when they see themselves on the Jumbotron for the first time because it's something that always puts a smile on my face. It makes me laugh, much like I know it puts a smile on their face. It makes them laugh. So yeah, fan experience is number one. If we can make you enjoy yourself, even if you are the opposing team, right? The idea is that everybody who enters McHale is going to enjoy their time inside that arena.
When you're there doing your stand-ups, what feelings does that give you? I mean, do you get any sort of adrenaline rush or anything?
Oh, of course. And I still get butterflies, right? Every time I have to go out there, I still, I still get a little nervous. I still get the butterflies in my stomach. but I attribute that to just gratitude. I'm so grateful to have the life that I live and do what I do because my job is to make people smile, right? Like my job is to make sure people have a good time. I'm not sitting in a cubicle, I'm not, punching numbers. I'm genuinely there hyping people up, whether it's the Chick-fil-A free throw or it's the tossing the coins into the piggy bank. The idea is that whoever my contestant is or the fans watching is that they're going to leave with a smile on their face. So for me, yeah, there's definitely a sort of adrenaline rush to the point where when I'm done and I leave, I have my car on silent, no music is playing, and I'm like driving home, sort of decompressing from all of that adrenaline that's been rushing through my body for the last probably 2.5 hours.
Are there any specific games that you've been the host for that that really stick out to you? And this can be from like any any team or any sport, but are there any specific games that really kind of stand out to you that you've been able to host?
Of course, ASU. I mean, that is one where I got to be on my A game, right? Because ASU travels well too. So, got to make sure that I'm just as hyped, just as energetic. So, anytime the Sun Devils are in town, that truly is a memorable game because it's a rivalry game. You feel the energy when you walk inside the McHale Center. So, I'd say that's definitely a big one. And with us being in the Big 12, I'm excited to kind of see that same energy with some of these other teams. But in previous years, Pac-12, UCLA was always a really, really big game for us. They traveled really, really well. USC was a big game for us as well. I think even when our neighbors far up north came down, NAU, those games were also really, really exciting because I'm an athlete. I'm someone that's played sports my entire life, and I truly believe any given game, whoever there's no guarantee who's going to win that game. You know how they say any given Sunday you can win, they can win. I genuinely feel that. So for me, it's bringing in some of these Arizona teams always adds just this different element of competitiveness and excitement. NAU wants to beat us as much as ASU does. So I'd say, the Arizona teams or, some of the big Pac-12 teams that came in. When it comes to this upcoming season, I'm genuinely excited to see how things play out with Baylor. That's going to be a huge game for us. Um, those are the ones that I'm looking forward to the most because those are the teams that, again, have made it super far in the March Madness tournament. And so now we get to play them on our home court in the regular season. And I can't wait to see what the energy is going to be like for those games.
Throughout your years in Tucson, I'm sure you've learned that the ASU U of A rivalry is very, very intense.
Yeah.
Things can get pretty crazy, with our rivalry there.
I love it personally because that to me is what college sports is all about, right? You need that rivalry in order to make it exciting. Even, for example, let's say both teams aren't doing that good, right? Let's say both teams don't have a winning season. That game is going to matter probably more than any other game throughout the season. I've heard people say it before, even when it comes to football and other sports, like, man, we could have the most losing record, but we have to beat ASU, right? And I'm sure ASU fans feel the same, like, man, we can be terrible at every game that we play, but U of A, we better walk away with that win. So the rivalry to me is what college sports is all about. It just makes it so much more exciting, especially if you have like a family divided, right? Husband and wife, one's a Wildcat fan, one's a Sun Devil, or even there's families that come in where it's like, my daughter goes to ASU, we're Wildcat fans, we're divided with our kids. I think that rivalry just makes it so much more exciting. But at the end of the day, people, hopefully remember it's just a sport, it's just a game. Once that game's over, it's all love, and we're back to getting along until the next game.
Yes, yes, for sure. It's no, at the end of the day, it's a ton of fun. No, it's a ton of
Yes.
fun, and and that's really all that matters. Now I think it's really awesome that you've done work in a sport that I have loved ever since I was a little kid, and that is arena/indoor football.
I love it.
Oh my, yeah, yeah, I've loved it ever since I was a kid. Just, oh my gosh, so many great memories. And you work for the Sugar Skulls and the Rattlers, and I imagine it's It's pretty interesting for you getting to work for both teams and kind of, seeing what it's like, seeing the differences between obviously a much newer team in Tucson and then I guess you could say the more established, the seven-time champs in
Yeah.
Glendale.
Yeah, you know what? I talk about it all the time how genuinely lucky I am to see both ends of the spectrum when it comes to indoor football, right? We have our expansion team with the Sugar Skulls going on to their sixth season, almost seventh season, and then you have the Rattlers who are just legendary. Like I can't say that and emphasize that more. And I go into Phoenix to meet with corporate partners or businesses. Every single time I mention the Rattlers, I get the same reaction that I just got from you, right? Oh my gosh, I used to go to games with my mom and dad. Now I take my kids to the games. Like that means something in sports. You can't buy that. That commitment, that love, that fandom, they've earned that. I mean, 7 national championships. They are the most winningest franchise in Arizona. Not to mention, they have the most wins in sports. I want to say I know it's over 300, but it's even more so than that. And even Coach Guy. Coach Guy is one of the most legendary coaches when it comes to indoor football because he consistently pulls it together, right? Everybody last season, we had so many injuries at the beginning of the season. We didn't win a handful of games right away. People were sort of doubting him. And then you had the people who know better, who were like, just give Coach Guy a minute. Like he will recalibrate everything he needs to recalibrate, and they're going to come back stronger. And sure enough, they came back and they smoked the championship game. I mean, they literally went into that championship game and just whooped the team. So it's really cool to see both ends of the spectrum because the idea is to get the Sugar Skulls to that type of legacy. The goal is to get the Sugar Skulls as recognizable as the Arizona Rattlers are, not only in Arizona, but really all over. I have people from all over the country who know who the Arizona Rattlers are because they've been around so long and because they are the winningest franchise.
Yeah, yeah, yes, for sure, for sure. I think it's pretty amazing that the Rattlers did win their seventh championship in your first season with them. So I think you must have brought them some good luck.
We joked about it because there was a handful of new employees and we were like, when does this ever happen? The first year that you start working with a team, they win the championship. So I immediately got to see the excitement that some people almost work their whole career for, and I feel so honored because it was an experience I'll never forget, right? Being in the locker room and they've got the champagne bottles going off, and you see the team and the players who genuinely worked so hard to get to that point in their career and they've achieved it. So I can't wait for the banner ceremony. It's going to be the home opener. I'm looking forward to it, and to make it even sweeter, they're playing the Sugar Skulls. So the home opener banner ceremony is going to be the other team that I work for as well. So that's exciting too.
That's perfect. You could not script that any better, right?
I agree. I am I mean, obviously, one team has to win. So I guess it's just going to come down to, that first game, getting all the rest off, all the jitters out. I'm excited to see how that game plays out with Coach Guy and Coach Back.
Were you familiar with indoor football before your work with the Rattlers and Sugar Skulls?
I was. So when I was in Colorado, that's when John Elway had a team. And I want to say it was the Colorado Crush or
Yes, yeah,
something.
the Colorado Crush.
Yeah, I had gone to a game out there, and that was sort of my first experience with indoor football was the Colorado Crush. And to me, the same excitement and energy that I have for these teams was that same game, right? Like I got to see how fast paced it is. I got to see, players being slammed against the wall. It's definitely a different style of game from your typical NFL, and it's not so much different as like it's you're not going to find familiarity in it, but it's different in a sense of I like to compare when people ask, well, I've never been to a game, what's it like? My comparison is it's the NFL and WWE meet, right? You got a little bit of drama, you got some of that energy where again players are being slammed up against the wall. In We always tell fans, if you come to a game and you're close enough to the edge, you can catch a player or a ball. You got to throw the player back, but you can keep the ball. So for me, I don't know how more people don't actually go to these games because one, it's affordable. The tickets are so affordable. It's family fun, family friendly, and I just feel like it's a different look, different perspective on professional football. You know, these athletes are still at the highest level of their career. A lot of them hoping the next step is to get to the NFL, which both of our teams combined have sent 53 people to the NFL. So you're not going to get amateur sports when you come to an indoor football game. This is the real deal professional sports.
Like I've said, it's such a fun sport, and always what I like at the end of the games, after the games are over, the players will stay out on the field and they'll like take time out to meet the fans and stuff like that, and that's stuff that I always love to see. And that's something when I was going to games as a kid, that was stuff that I always really enjoyed getting to meet the players, and I just love how arena football teams, every time I'm at a game you can tell that again, they have such a close connection with their fan base. And that's something I've always loved about the sport.
And we take a lot of pride in that, honestly. As an organization, we do, and the players too. I remember one of the games in Tucson, it was a tough loss for the Skulls. And, you know, in most sports, the last thing you want to do is be face to face with your fans or anybody. And our players knew this is something that sets us apart from other sports is that win, loss, tough loss, good win, no matter what, we're going to get out there. We're going to meet the fans. We're going to thank them for coming. And it's the same with the dancers, you know, the sugar dolls and the sidewinders. They're out there too. I mean, for kind of like you said, for a lot of kids, that's like the moment you look forward to your favorite player. You actually get to be in front of him, ask a question. He's going to sign your football or he's going to sign the autograph card. We really do take pride in that because it sets us apart from other professional sports.
I want to get into a bit of your background now. You're from Commerce City, Colorado, and you attended Adams City High School. Student body president, pretty dang awesome. What are your fondest high school memories?
Oh, everything. I really was somebody that enjoyed high school, and it's because I was so involved. As I mentioned, I'm an athlete. I've been playing sports since I was in second grade, and I always tell, you know, I have three daughters. I always tell my girls now, do everything you can in high school because it's the last time in your life, you know, even if they do go on to college, where doing stuff like that is socially acceptable, being a part of clubs, being a part of organized sports. And so for me, I enjoyed the entire experience because it allowed me to sort of test the water and things that I liked and things that I didn't like. And student body president was sort of unexpected. I wasn't originally going to run for it. And I decided last minute to do it just because I wanted to do a little bit more for the school and the student body. So for me, everything about high school, I genuinely enjoyed. Now, would I go back and redo it? No. But I can say that my time at Adams City High School was definitely a good one. So yeah, I really enjoyed everything about it.
Hey, that's awesome. It's great to hear. After high school, you attended CSU Pueblo, which is a great school for broadcasting and communication.
Mhm.
Were there any other schools you were considering, or was that always the number one option?
Truthfully, I had thought about ASU. I had went out to Arizona with my mom for one of her friends' weddings and I fell in love with the campus. I thought, you know, it was beautiful. But for me, I guess what sort of held me back was being that far from my family. You know, my mom was a single mom. She's one of my best friends, and I couldn't see myself being that far from her. So I decided to stay in state. Um, but I really genuinely looked at ASU. But I always knew in the end I was going to probably stay in Colorado. And the reason you brought up is the reason I decided to go to CSU Pueblo. I had researched about a broadcasting opportunity in the state of Colorado, and I had realized that at the time I attended, it was USC, University of Southern Colorado, that they had one of the top broadcast programs in the country, especially their radio program. Their radio program there had consistently won awards because it's not like a typical college radio station. You don't have block programming. You literally have a set format. You try to follow all the FCC rules that apply to commercial radio, not just non-commercial radio. And so I genuinely got firsthand experience of what commercial radio will be like. And it always bothers me when I hear people say, oh, well, college radio is an experience. I'm like, we're live more than most commercial stations. Yes, we are. We were live 24/7. We always had someone in the building. We had set logs. We had rules we had to follow. So for me, that's what sort of drove me to stay not only at home, but to attend CSU Pueblo.
Well, I think it's awesome that you were able to get that valuable experience right in college. Like you said, you got to get radio experience, which is great. And then
Mhm.
you also got to do some sideline reporting. What was that like?
Again, firsthand experience on what it would be like to pursue that job at a professional level. I got to do reporting for high school football there, which I absolutely loved. And then I also got to do sideline reporting for basketball. And I was given the opportunity to be the PA for the women's volleyball team. All of that to me was just invaluable experience that I got. Can't put a price tag on it because it genuinely set me up for what I'm doing now. And I never would have thought that all of that college experience would have paid off in my professional career 22 years later, but it absolutely did. It gave me an idea of how to be prepared, how to research the teams, how you have to turn it on as soon as you step on the court. There is no bad day when you're in front of 1,000 people on the Jumbotron. So it genuinely set me up for the professional career that I have today.
It's great that you were able to get that experience and you were able to learn those skills and those lessons in college that would of course benefit you in your career moving forward. That's just awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people sometimes they talk about their degree and, oh, I'm not even pursuing my degree, what I got my degree in. For me, it was a must. For me, it was even if the broadcasting side doesn't work out, then I'm going to pursue the other side, which is what I'm doing, right? The public relations and the marketing. So for me, it was always trying to find a way to bring everything that I learned in my college career into my professional career. And I've been able to do that. And I genuinely feel so grateful that I've been able to do that.
You've been making, a great living doing so many awesome, cool things. Would you say that you're living the dream?
I would absolutely say I'm living the dream. I mentioned it earlier. I'm not necessarily sitting in a cubicle and punching numbers, and there may be people that genuinely enjoy doing that. But for me, my focus from honestly, a really young age was to entertain. I wanted to entertain people. I do stand up comedy on the side. That's always been something that has given me that adrenaline rush, making people laugh, seeing smiles on people's faces. Because at the end of the day, I can take pride in knowing that I hopefully impacted someone's life in a positive way, even if it's just making them laugh at me. That to me is worth its weight in gold, being able to make people find joy in something. So I would absolutely say I am 100% living the dream.
Getting to make those connections, with other people, I would imagine that that's just so rewarding.
Oh, 100%. Especially when I talk to fans who will go out of their way to come up to me and when it's the off season, are you coming back? We hope you're coming back. We really love you. Or in season, people coming up to me, yeah, and you said do such a great job. You always make us laugh. You always make us, because I try to be funny on the court too with contestants that I have because I want it to be memorable. So that will never be something I take for granted when people go out of their way to come up to me to say, man, we really enjoyed what you did today. That to me is worth its weight in gold.
You mentioned your stand-up comedy. How did you start doing that?
I had always wanted to pursue some sort of career in comedy. Growing up, the joke for me and my brothers, all of us were class clowns, voted class clowns, not only in middle school, but in high school. And, obviously my mom's like, really, guys, that's what we're doing in high school. But it's always been something that we've loved to do. We've loved to make people laugh. And so when the opportunity presented itself to me in 2012, I said, this is my chance, right? This is my chance to knock that off the bucket list. And, maybe I'll do it one time, maybe I'll do it 100 times. And for anybody that's ever done stand-up comedy, once you get on that stage, it's such a high, right? Especially if the crowd is good. And I've had hecklers before and I've rebounded, and I can't say I've ever had a bad set necessarily. It's always been positive, but yeah, once I got that opportunity to do it, it's almost like there's no way I can go back. I love this too much. And I want to say, was it last year or the year before, I got a mic tattooed on my arm, and someone was like, what is the symbolism behind that? Is it the radio? And I said, I just know anytime a mic is in my hand is when I'm happiest, whether it's in-game hosting, comedy, being on the radio, being on TV, that's when I'm at my most happiest. So stand-up comedy is definitely one of my favorite career ventures that I've ever done.
Do you remember what your first stand-up performance was like?
Oh yeah, so it was at the Improv in Denver, and it was an open mic night that I had gotten invited to. And I thought, okay, I want to invite my family, but I don't want to invite my family because I am going to be making fun of my family. But I did. I invited my mom and my aunt, and a bunch of my best friends showed up. And from that moment on, I said, this is something I want to pursue. I don't know if I can do it full time, but I definitely want to do it. And I still have some pictures, and I even have a little bit of video from it. And the entire bit was about me, right? I'm not someone that likes to necessarily make fun of other people. Of course, I write jokes and I put stuff together about current events and of course politics. But in reality, I know I'm going to get the most laughs if it's a little self-deprecating. So yeah, that was definitely a day and night that I won't forget. And it's very special to me that I had my family and friends in the building when I did it.
Do you have any particular inspirations for your stand-up?
Um, my brothers. My brothers are always funny. So I can definitely say that they just kind of improv at everything, and they're genuinely just funny at everything. But one of my favorites all-time comics is always going to be Dave Chappelle. The Chappelle Show is what got me through college, to be absolutely honest with you. I would say he's one of my, I guess, biggest motivators, because whether you like him or not, he's going to make you laugh at the end of the day. He's one of my favorites. Roy Wood Jr. will forever be one of my favorite comics. He's done some stuff on The Daily Show. Him and I became friends, and I was able to sort of bounce ideas off of him. And I will forever be grateful at the insight he gave me when it came to my career. So just off the top, those are two of my favorites. I love Angela Johnson. I think she's hilarious. She's someone that I feel like really took women's comedy today, right? She's a trailblazer for today, but she took it in a way that, with her impersonations, and now she's a mom and bringing her motherhood into comedy. She'll forever be one of my favorites. So yeah, those are some of the newer comics today that I definitely find inspiration from.
And then what's the process just been like for you, sort of developing your stand-up?
You always have to write. I mean, truly, if an idea comes into my head, I'm immediately opening up my notes app and putting that idea in there. And maybe that's not necessarily the joke, but I know that I can pull different things from whatever that idea is. And that's really what the process is like. You put that idea on the table, and then you try to think all of the different avenues that can make it funny. And so for anybody that's thinking about it, that's, had said, maybe I want to do stand-up comedy, just know it is a process of writing. It is a process of brainstorming. Of course, there's great comics that can get out there and just completely improv it, and it's probably because they've been able to do it for so long. But in reality, there is a method to the madness. You have a funny thought in your head, write it down, and then just try to develop on it more and more.
For one of the games that you're hosting, I think, during intermission or halftime, you should do stand-up. I think that would be amazing.
Oh, I would love to. I'd have to clean up my bit a little bit, make it a little bit more family friendly, but I can absolutely do that. But no, I would love to. Like I said, stand-up comedy is a rush that I've never gotten from anything else.
Yes, yes, for sure. Last question here for anyone who wants to get into broadcasting. What is the single biggest piece of advice that you would have for them?
Start now. I mean, honestly, start now and invest in yourself. I think that's the one thing I didn't do right out the gate. I didn't invest in myself. And when I say invest in yourself, start buying stuff for your home studio now, right? Get the mic at a discounted rate if you can. Look into a really, really good soundboard. Set yourself up for success to do broadcasting from your house because that's where we are now, right? Most radio stations, yeah, they have live jocks on the air, but a lot of them don't. And so if you have the capability to do a show from your house, a podcast from your house, a vlog cast from your house, start now and start investing in yourself now. I wish I would have taken that step in college. I wish I would have started building my home studio while I was still going to school for it. And I don't know if it was I was afraid to do it, if I was afraid to spend the money on it, but if you are truly passionate about it, start investing in yourself now. And then the one thing I always tell people, network. Start getting to know people, start talking to people, because as much as it's, talent in this industry, it's also about who you know. If you know the right people that believe in you, that will, talk about you in rooms that you're not in, that's invaluable. So those would be my, major, major pieces of advice. Start investing in yourself now and start networking now.
Well, that is some fantastic advice, Crystal. And gosh, what else can I say other than thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity to chat with you today. It was truly an honor, truly an honor.
That's so nice. Thank you so much, Samuel. I appreciate it. And I hope that in some way it can inspire somebody because the next generation of broadcasters, we truly need you, right? We need the innovation, we need the new ideas. So hopefully somebody out there will be inspired to take that next step and believe in themselves.